Welcome to the BioMedWire Podcast, powered by IBN. This original audio production delivers market and sector insights, as well as exclusive interviews with innovative executives shaping the future in fast-moving industries, and may feature a client partner of IBN or one of the 60-plus investor-focused brands within IBN's dynamic brand portfolio. As a multifaceted financial news and publishing company, IBN leverages its extensive distribution network, utilizing multiple proprietary corporate communication tools to introduce both public and private companies to a vast and diverse audience of investors, consumers, influencers, journalists, and other targeted segments of the public. IBN may have received compensation to produce this audio content. Please be sure to read IBN's entire disclaimers for full disclosures. Now sit back, relax, and enjoy the next revelatory episode of IBN's BioMedWire podcast.
Hi, and welcome to another revelatory episode with me, Kamal Fisher. This podcast, we will be highlighting Izotropic Corporation. They are listed on a few exchanges, namely OTCQB as IZOZF, on the Canadian Stock Exchange, that is the CSE, as IZO, as well as FSE as 1R3. And with me today, I'm excited to dive straight into a little bit more about Izotropic with CEO, Mr. Robert /Bob Thast. Bob, thank you so much for joining us and welcome to the show.
Thank you. Nice to see you.
Excellent. As a, just a quick start, tell us more about Izotropic Corporation. For those who may not have recently heard about the company, tell us what your main focus is and what perhaps your goals are for the next year.
Izotropic Corporation acquired the worldwide rights to breast CT technology developed at UC Davis Medical Center in Sacramento, California. In 2018, the company went public with the intention of commercializing breast CT, which is a dedicated breast imaging technology. It's a 10-second exam, full 3D data sets, and obviously is intended to fill a major gap between current standard of care mammography, digital breast tomosynthesis, which are the sort of gold standards for screening, first line of defense. And mammography, of course, is 20-some thousand of those units in the United States alone. But DBT is slowly taking over the market for screening. And of course, from there, you go straight to ultrasound and MRI, which makes up the standard of care for breast imaging. Breast CT fits in between DBT and MRI at a price point that is considerably less than MRI and slightly above DDP or DBT. And we've been at this now for several years, positioning Izotropic to take our breast CT technology through the FDA in the United States, and we'll also add a CE mark in the EU. So we have recently gotten into alignment with the FDA for our clinical study, and that was a big milestone for us. I think we're going to talk about some of those things, and we are excited to fund this situation and move forward with our clinical trials and really get on track to commercialize it.
Excellent. So you have positioned IZOView to enter the market at a time when regulatory mandates the mandates are requiring breast density disclosure, and 38 states now mandate insurance coverage for the supplemental screening. How sustainable is your competitive advantage?
First, I'd say that screening is the first line of defense. It's where lives are saved or not. Current standard of care misses a lot of cancers and not particularly good at finding aggressive cancers, in the early stages. I think breast CT's advantage is that we can see cancers as small as 2 millimeters. Current standard of care is 11 millimeters average. It's a big difference, and between 12 and 18 months earlier, which could make the difference, mean the difference between finding it and treating it, or having it get past the point of no return. So I think that the 38 states that have really mandated supplemental screening, there's so many tragedies, and now they realize that standard of care is not enough. And if you are particularly a woman with dense breast tissue, and there's three or four levels of density, if you are high category breast dense tissue individual, they are recommending supplemental screening, and clearly it's needed, or it wouldn't be recommended. So screening is the first line of defense. In terms of, sustaining, uh, what would I say? Well, I'd say we have a 20-year head start. We have the most relevant team in the space. We have recently announced an AI development and capability that no one else has and may never have. In terms of competition, this technology will become increasingly accepted over time, and the majors will have to get involved if they intend to maintain their market share. But we're already proving the market up. We can't officially take orders, but we are definitely in discussions with many hospitals in several countries, with distributors, and really the medical communities globally. It's not just United States and the UK or the EU. We're going to concentrate in the EU first and then the US because of the time differences. But in terms of protecting our position, in terms of competitive advantage, we have a portfolio of patents. We have trade secrets and know-how. We have a portfolio of products, so we're not just a single-purpose imaging device. And we have probably the most capable breast CT scientific team and development team and clinical team on the planet because we really have all the experience. The majors are going to certainly have the muscle to get in the game. There's no question about that. I think it'd be a lot less expensive for them to buy something like IzoView, and I expect that that's what will happen as we move forward. We believe we'll be a takeover target, and I think that we'll put enough thorns in their side to make that happen.
Excellent.
I hope that covers the question.
Oh, absolutely. It absolutely does. And I'm so intrigued to hear more about the AI portion to that, as much as publicly disclosed out there already. Can you add some light to your AI department or the intentionality behind that as far as possible?
I can't say an awful lot about it. I think the news release pretty well covers the length and breadth of what we want to tell the public at this point. I will tell you it's extremely valuable. I think that CT imaging in particular is going to stand up and take notice. And it certainly is going to set us apart from other breast CT companies, in particular, any majors that plan to get in the market.
Looking now at a little deeper into your revenue model and the market penetration strategy, with a target price point of $500,000 per unit, it's significantly below MRI costs, but still a substantial capital investment. Won't you please walk us through your go-to-market strategy for one? And then are you targeting large health systems, outpatient centers, specific tiers of providers? Will that be your first point of call, or just walk us through what the strategy is there?
From a revenue standpoint and from a launching standpoint, our launch will be focused primarily on selling to hospital medical facilities and imaging clinics primarily. And those will be focused, as I said, in the EU first, and then in the United States. There certainly is interest in other countries, and I think that we will proceed with that. But between the US and the USA and Europe, you're looking at almost 50% of the world market that we would be after from a high level, or from a global community that could afford $500,000 for one of these devices. To support the interest that we have, there are probably 50 papers right now that have been written about clinical trials that have resulted from the fourth unit, which is currently still in the radiology department at UC Davis Medical Center. So that is the fourth iteration of breast CT. Every unit, every development, every device better than the last. There are now 50 papers, as I said, on the fourth scanner, and that's given us an awful lot of confidence in terms of where we're going with it. But I think the FDA study is a clear mandate. It's the most important thing because with an FDA approval, really the world is wide open to us. So all of the major first world nations, if you can refer to that, and then the emerging nations, we could get to with FDA and or CE mark. So certainly faster to get to the rest of the world with an FDA approval, but the world's a big place, and a CE mark will enable us to get into many countries. So I think the work that's been done at UC Davis, suffice to say that it's built a following. It's been going on for 20 years. since the first woman was imaged in 2004 or 5, I believe. And it's not like we don't have an awful lot of information. And these trials that have been done, the last trial at UC Davis on the 4th unit was $3 million US. So it's not insignificant. There were hundreds of women imaged. And, the trials went on against the standard of care for mammography, tomosynthesis, DBT, ultrasound, and MRI. So we understand what we have, and we understand why we're going to fit into the market. And I think it's suffice to say that we have a following, and we have no end of inquiries and interests within medical communities globally. It's not just the U.S. and Europe. So we've learned from our surveys and from inquiries to date that the market has clearly indicated that a moderately priced dedicated breast CT scanner that has no compression, is capable of taking MRI quality, high resolution breast screening exams in just 10 seconds is absolutely required. And a device that has demonstrated, dramatic improvement in cancer detection at UC Davis Medical Center in clinical trials. And it's equally capable of identifying false positives, which is a substantial problem. And certainly the ability of breast CT to increase workflow and multiply the number of patients is an added benefit, and certainly is going to help generate revenue. And more importantly, it's going to open up a lot of space so a lot more women can be imaged at lower prices. So I think we're filling a gap between the lesser performing standard of care and the long exam times and high cost of MRI procedures. So I think the addition of breast CT will enable all sorts of benefits to women and medical facilities as well. And we're looking forward to for getting it out there, and it's certainly needed on a global basis. I would go on to say that there's a growing number of innovators and early adopters that have expressed interest in breast CT and in IzoView, and many that have been waiting years, some to acquire one. We've got people that have asked us for years, when can we get one? So we know, and we've got a growing list of people in that category. So the market's waiting for, the initial distribution. And certainly our focus is on private and public hospitals and imaging clinics in North America and Europe to begin with, as I said. So we expect to be cleared and begin selling in the EU first, as the approval processes are faster there. Our objective is to begin marketing initiatives in the EU 6 to 12 months ahead of expected approval date, and we'll do the same in the US. And we expect to have order interest for 500 IzoView scanners. That's $250 million before getting approval in the US, and we expect to hit the ground running upon receiving approvals in both locations.
So what does that projected timeline look like from FDA approval to meaningful revenue generation?
We are looking at revenue generation almost day one. We will market ahead of time. We'll have our manufacturing set up ahead of time. We will really be in a position to hit the ground running, and that is exactly what we plan to do. So we'll start off slow. There'll be 1 a month, then 2 a month, then 3 a month in the first year, and then we'll build up production and all of that, all the things you need to do for material development, all the inventories, and certainly all the buildup of staff for training for hospitals and things like that. So it's all in a business plan, and it's been well planned and carefully thought out.
Now, you've mentioned multiple times that you've secured the FDA alignment on the pivotal study design, which is obviously a significant milestone. But, clinical studies carry inherent risks. What are the key endpoints that you need to hit, and what's your confidence level based on preliminary data? What's the contingency plan if the study doesn't meet the primary endpoint?
I guess I'd say, first of all, it looks like we will require 3 hospital study and research partners. We may choose an inner city or hospital, depends what the FDA wants us to do. But we're looking at recruiting 300 women for the FDA study. That currently is in the study design and has been discussed with FDA. We will also demonstrate that IzoView with contrast is superior to digital breast tomosynthesis in screening for cancers. And that certainly will be a major endpoint. That's really the focus of the trial or the study. And we'll also demonstrate IzoView's capability to correctly identify false positives, which makes this device very valuable. A lot less stress on women if they can find out very quickly that what they have is a benign mass or whatever the concern is. From a contingency standpoint, we already have considerable data. We've been at this for a long time, so it's not like we're going in front of the FDA and having a hospital take this device for the first time and start to image women and holding our breath at what the results will be. So there have been hundreds of women, as I said earlier, that have already been imaged at UC Davis Medical Center on the fourth iteration. This is not IzoView. It's the fourth iteration of breast CT. IzoView is the fifth generation and the pre-commercial model. So we can't make the claim that IzoView is going to perform at any particular level, and we wouldn't do that. But we will say that the same people that designed and built the first 4 units are the key people on our scientific team. So we're pretty confident that in addition to our own engineers, that we have followed the historical developments and added some new ones that we believe will make it an even more potent device. So overall, without question, we're more than confident about the power of our device, the power of breast CT, and the outcomes in terms of the upcoming clinical study for FDA approval. We're pretty confident that we know what to expect and what the results will be. But as you say, there's always an element of risk, and timeline being probably the biggest risk, and the cost of capital and the comfort of capital, and we're going to talk about that probably as well. But certainly, increasing the number of patients is one way to mitigate risk and have a contingency, and that's something that the FDA in particular may ask for, and we've already anticipated that, and we expect to have 1 or 2 of the hospitals we're partnering with to also be research partners, and in doing that, there will automatically be additional data that we can draw upon if required. So we also intend to build an extra unit for maybe another study in the UK for a CE mark there, but also to gain more data. And possibly we'll do one without contrast. The one in front of the FDA is with contrast. So we may do a non-contrast study and gather data for a CE mark, and maybe have 2 of them in future. So I think that's important. We understand that we can also use data from the USA study for a CE mark. So that would help us to gain more information and have more data for a CE mark. So with a CE mark obtained, the company can not only go into Europe, but it can certainly go into other countries where you've got an administrative function and an application function, power requirements, language barriers, things like that. So doing all the translations, it's a 3 to 6 month process to go from Europe into many other countries.
And all this sounds really indicative that you're entering one of the most capital-intensive phases for the company, conducting pivotal trials, scaling manufacturing, preparing for commercial launch. Can you provide investors with visibility into the total funding requirements, through the profitability, your current cash runway, whether you're considering strategic partnerships? I think you touched on that, and then share, the developmental costs or the acceleration for market access.
We haven't disclosed a lot of details around the amount of money it's going to take to get to commercialization. I'll say that it's somewhere between $25 and $35 million. And we expect that that money will be spent over a 4 or 5 year period. So the first real milestone, the first major event here is to secure the partners, build the units, get those units into hospitals, get the training necessary, hire a clinical research organization to manage the study and get the study underway. Then once we are approved, obviously we'll put money in marketing, we'll put money in distribution, and we will push out the commercialization starting with the UK in a 2 to 5 year period. So in that period, we expect to really dramatically demonstrate the interest in breast CT. I would say that the company again has been in serious discussions with many financing operations and fund managers and potential revenue partners. and that we are in serious discussions with capital leasing companies and factoring companies that will more than help us get 100% financing for cost of goods made and sold for credit-worthy customers. So I think this will help minimize the need for Izotropic to require additional major upfront capital once we do get approvals, and help us to ramp up manufacturing and build up inventories of materials in advance. It's also standard practice in the medical imaging device community to get pretty significant deposits up front. So although our mandate is to make sure anybody that wants a breast CT device is going to get one, in situations where we can get upfront deposits, we will do that as well. But we expect to be able to get a minimum of cost of goods made upfront from factoring companies or a leasing company in the United States and in the EU. So this will help us manage our inventories and cash flows. We're also in early discussions underway regarding territorial distributors and arrangements that could further enhance our distribution, our manufacturing, and our product rollouts. And we'll talk more about that as we go, but that's really all I should say at this point.
So help investors understand the realistic market penetration. I know you've touched on some of the strategies and tactics that will be deployed, but the $8+ billion spent on follow-up imaging does represent a massive market opportunity. We see that, but realistically, what percentage of that market can IZOView or perhaps Izotropic in general really capture?
First thing I'll say is that the $8 billion number that you refer to is in the USA only, so it's beyond a massive market. I think we could throw a dart or draw a straw in terms of the percentage and the percentage that we might get going forward. I think breast CT is going to get the entire market, all of it. So it's going to get all of the mammography market, the digital breast tomosynthesis market, every kind of ultrasound, and MRI. So that is the full standard of care for breast imaging right now. There are some other devices that have some marginal pieces of that, but I believe that breast CT is so powerful and will continue to get better through AI developments that it will completely displace 100% all existing devices used for breast imaging and breast health going forward. So it's a substantial market. How much of that market will we get? We're positioning initially to become an adjunct to DBT in the United States and in the EU. So we'll have the same, what they call indication for use in both those locations. I mentioned that we may do a study over there for non-contrast, which would open up certainly emerging markets where the expensive contrast might not be possible in a place like India or Pakistan or Indonesia, Thailand, Vietnam, places where the population just doesn't have the means in general to be able to really serve the populations, Africa and many parts of the Middle East. So, it depends on the motivation, but obviously we want to make it as affordable as possible. Having a non-contrast capability, which is still up in the high 80s, maybe even 90% accurate, is still more powerful, we believe, than anything on the market in front of MRI. But currently, to give you an idea on the U.S. market, there are over 20,000 mammography devices in use every day in the United States, and over 10,000 digital breast tomosynthesis devices now. And these two devices really are the first line of defense and standard of care for breast imaging en masse and screening, pardon me. So if we took a 10% market share, over a 5-year period from the time we were approved, you can see that this would be a very substantial number. We're predicting 500 units, on a order basis by the time we gain approval in the United States. That's $250 million right there. The market is massive, and I think once breast CT takes hold, it will just eliminate everything, and it will become a multi-million-dollar business. IzoView is also not a one-purpose device. We've identified 14 indications for use, software upgrades for diagnostics, for breast density measurement, for tumor analysis, and the utilization of existing biopsy systems. So I think the bottom line is that the company has a plan for creating revenue opportunities for customers and a lot more care and a lot faster care and a lot more precise care for women. So although the company can't make claims about its clinical performance for IZOView, because IZOView has not imaged a woman yet, the first 4 units were developed in front of IZOView, and we believe we've taken the best we can forward. We've taken a device that probably cost $1 million, the 4th unit, and decreased that dramatically to the point where we can become a viable company selling it for $500,000 or even less. So, and the reason we might be able to do that and will be able to do that is because we're going to be able to add real value through software modules going forward, something that currently doesn't exist. So I think to sum everything up, we're looking at EU approval in 2 years, USA maybe in 3.5 years. We don't control the FDA or the approval processes, but that's what we're projecting. We have our sights on 500 orders out of the gate. The overall market for breast CT and IZOView is certainly in the multi-billions, and it's projected to replace the entire standard of care, as I said, for breast imaging and women's breast health overall in the years ahead.
Looking forward to watching those developments unfold. Robert Thast, thank you so much. Wonderful conversation. Again, I've been speaking with CEO Robert Thast from Izotropic Corporation. I'm Kamel Fisher. You guys stay tuned for more.
The BioMedWire Podcast is an original content production powered by IBN, a multifaceted financial news and publishing company that delivers next-generation corporate communication solutions. Utilizing proprietary corporate communication tools such as news aggregation and syndication, social communication, and brand awareness techniques, among others, IBN introduces both public and private companies to diverse audiences to enhance reach and recognition. IBN may receive compensation for services and solutions provided to its client partners. You should assume that the owners, officers, and directors of IBN or financial analysts mentioned in this production may hold a position in and may intend to trade the securities in their own accounts. This production is not an offer or recommendation to buy or sell any securities that may be mentioned in this production. The information in this broadcast is presented solely for informative purposes and is not intended to be or should it be construed as investment advice. As in all investments, investment in the featured companies carries inherent investment risk. Listeners should review the companies thoroughly with a registered investment advisor or registered stockbroker. This production by IBN is not purported to be a complete study of the featured company or other companies mentioned. Information used in statements of fact have been obtained from featured companies and other sources but not verified nor guaranteed by IBN as to completeness and accuracy. Such information is subject to change without notice. Please see IBN's full disclaimers and disclosures at www.ibn.fm/disclaimer. Music in this episode is by Infraction. For more, visit inaudio.org.